So, while I'm editing and reshooting parts of the video about the dangers of exorcism cinema, I decided to give y'all something to lighten up the mood before I drop another depressing video. Horror movies. I am personally a huge fan of horror movies. It may be one of my favorite genres, and I really do think we're living through a renaissance of the genre, with films like Longlegs, Terrifier 3, The Substance, Heretic, I Saw the TV Glow, The Black Phone, Alien Romulus, Barbarian, Evil Dead Rise, Cuckoo, Thanksgiving, and so much more coming out in recent years. Some of these films, by the way, may or may not become topics for upcoming videos. And while, yes, there have been quite a few underwhelming horror movies this year too, 2025 gave us a large amount of gems, instant classics, and just interesting and good horror movies to discuss. So, without further ado, let's talk about the best horror movies of 2025 so far. Let's begin with Final Destination Bloodlines. Final Destination is kind of a franchise that usually comes dead on arrival. Pun intended. But this film is surprisingly good. Apart from the CGI blood, this was a very entertaining movie. I did not expect to have so much fun watching the sixth iteration of a franchise that became boring on its third film. But Final Destination Bloodlines adds so much more interesting lore into the whole death comes for us all in different fun ways to die type of idea that it's actually quite a fun watch. It may not be a masterpiece, but it's a good movie. And speaking of masterpieces, the next film I want to talk about is Nosferatu. And yes, it did come out in 2024. But I make the rules, and it came out in 2025 in Germany, so I have the full right to talk about it. Nosferatu is Robert Eggers' best film. And that's coming from me. I have become quite disappointed with Robert Eggers after The Northman, because I hated The Northman. And quite frankly, I really like the original, very old, I forgot when it came out, 1912 or something, Nosferatu. And I even like the Werner Herzog remake of Nosferatu. It is an interesting take on Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is, by the way, one of my favorite books. And I really hoped that this movie would be more like The Lighthouse and The Witch, rather than The Northman. And thankfully, Robert Eggers delivered. Out of the three Nosferatu films, this is the best one. It's gothic, and it's even scary, it's fun, and it's gorgeously shot, and it's somehow original for a second remake of a very old film. And it feels like the old film, somehow. It is, I think, one of the best, like, vampire movies. It's really a must-watch. Next up, a film that I think is an instant classic, Weapons. I watched this film canonically the day before yesterday in cinemas on the 8th of August. Right off the bat, I could tell that I was going to love this movie. To be fair, I could tell that from the trailers. But, like, this is one of my new favorites in the horror genre. It is exactly what you hope it is. It has comedy. It has a non-linear sort of story where it's like from different perspectives, from like one or two like of the same day, but like the story of like how different characters see the event that is happening. Of like, I think it's like 17 kids like running away. It is just a great movie. I think it's a masterpiece, to be honest, because it is very fun, and it's easy to watch. It's funny. There's humor in it. It's unexpected. You don't expect the twist. Anytime you think that, oh, I know how this is going to end, you don't. And also, I must say that this is a film directed by Zach Krieger, which is, I think, his second film. And his first film, Barbarian, is a film that I really liked. So I hope that this film would sort of be similar in the vibe and in the execution of like how good it is. But it is just so much better. The acting is amazing. I don't. I think like I have more to say about this film than I have about like Nosferatu, just because I saw this film more recently. But it is a great film. The Shrouds is another interesting film where it's not perfect. I gave it a 7 out of 10 on Letterboxd, and it definitely isn't perfect. There are things that I didn't really like about it, but it is a very interesting film. It's also like directed by David Cronenberg, who I love, who's probably one of the best like body horror directors. And this isn't his best work, but it is a very interesting film, and I definitely think that it's worth watching. Even though it doesn't fully live up to the potential of the story, it still is a very good and very interesting film to watch. Next up, Clown in a Cornfield is just a good movie. It's not a high concept film per se, as is like Nosferatu or Weapons, or like it's not a masterpiece, but it is a very specific type of like B-movie slasher that I really like. That's the kind of movies that I really enjoy watching, because I do like to watch like a lot of like 80s and 90s and even the 70s films, and this film is very entertaining in that sense. And the twist, it is sort of expected, but not really. And I'm not going to give it away, because it is quite good. I'm just going to say that it is quite similar to the twist of Hot Fuzz, and I like Hot Fuzz. So to me, it was very fun and entertaining to see it in a similar type of twist in a horror movie. Yeah, it is just very fun. It feels something like Thanksgiving, except like a little less gory, but yeah, it's just a very fun movie. Another early watch of 2025 and a great film is Companion. It sort of talks on like toxic masculinity and stuff like that, but also AI and stuff like that. But it's very fun, and I'm just trying sort of not to give away much of the detail in any of these films, which is why I may not have a lot to say about some of them, because it's kind of hard to talk about films without giving away the details, because I do want you to watch it. It's a good film. But I think the best part about this film is the sort of unexpected comedy, but also the acting. Like Sophie Thatcher, for example, who was in Heretic, by the way, one of my favorite films of 2024, she's great in this film, and she's clearly an actor who she's clearly an up-and-coming star and is gonna have a huge career ahead of her. And you can tell that she really tries to do more interesting films like this or like Heretic. And similarly, Jack Quaid is also another clearly up-and-coming star of The Boys fame, is now doing a lot of interesting films like Novocaine or like this film. And they're both great in it. And you can tell that they clearly, both of them have a lot of range in terms of their acting, just because of how good their acting and how different it is to other films and series that they're in. And yeah, this is just a very good movie, and it talks a lot about toxic masculinity, and not just in like straight relationships, but also kind of in gay relationships, but also the sort of like misogyny that people have sometimes when they don't really want to date a person, they want to date the idea of a person. Essentially, Jack Quaid's character in this film is an incel. Another surprise for me this year is Death of a Unicorn, a film that, from the trailer, doesn't seem like it's going to be good. Like, it looks like slop. But it is, like, and I don't mean this, by the way, to offend anyone, but it is a great film. Like, it is an absurdist sort of, like, horror comedy, and it's very vehemently anti-capitalistic, and I just love that element of it. The villains are the billionaires, and like the only truly good character is the like the leftist teenager, and it does at times feel like it may have been written by leftist redditor or like a depressed queer socialist. But it's a good film. Like, it's very fun. It's scary. It's funny, and it's anti-capitalistic, and it's absurdist. And I love that sort of mix of cinema. That's my go-to. Another horror comedy. This is the year of horror comedy. Another horror comedy that I loved is The Monkey. I think it might be Osgood Perkins's best film yet, and another one of his films is coming out this year, by the way, which I'm really excited about. But I don't know how you can top The Monkey, because it's so funny, and it's scary sometimes, and it's very entertaining, and like the kills are absurd. Like, they don't make any sense. It's like a Looney Tunes sort of cartoon come to life. And that's the beauty of it, because you rarely see films like this that dare to sort of make fun of dying in like very weird and funny ways. And I watched this film. I had to go to like the other part of the city to watch this film. And the entire cinema like laughed their asses off during it, and it is really, I think, like one of the best horror comedies to date. A good horror comedy should be gory and scary, but also should be f***ing fun, and that's, I think, the beauty of it. As I put in my Letterboxd review, this is the hardest I've ever laughed at people being brutally murdered. Another surprise for me this year was Locked, which is a remake, I think, of a... I don't remember exactly. I think it's a Norwegian film called 4x4 or 4x4. And this remake stars Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. And I did not expect this movie to be so vehemently anti-capitalistic. And I just love anti-capitalism cinema. Because who doesn't, right? And this film really sort of has you on the edge of the seat, even though it has like two main actors and not a lot of like sets per se. It's just one car mostly, and that is why it's so effective, because it's grounded in this one location essentially, and for most of the film, it's Anthony Hopkins on the phone and just Bill Skarsgård in the car trying to escape. And it is so fun. It's such a good movie, because you really don't expect it, because from the trailer it looks like, well, it's gonna be crap, but it's actually so entertaining and it's so fun. But it also like the suspense in this film works perfectly, and almost everything in this film works perfectly, and the execution is brilliant. It's like, it literally keeps you on the edge of your seat. It is really just a very fun movie. 28 Years Later is another film that I would call an instant classic, probably a masterpiece as well. Fun fact, this film was actually shot on iPhone, and you can barely tell. But it's like this heartbreaking story of like a kid and his parents and his clearly dysfunctional family of like his dad like cheating, and like this story of him growing up, becoming the man of the house essentially, to get his mother to be healed. And the heartbreaking like twist of like his mother has cancer, and she knew she probably had cancer. She knew that, because they do say that, but they traveled all this far, and they like killed so many zombies and nearly died so many times, and they went through all this danger, and now the kid is forced to grow up even more, because in the end, like, his mother dies. He is forced to witness his mother die, essentially in a mercy kill by Ralph Fiennes' character, and he is forced to sort of accept this reality and deal with his grief very quickly and grow up to survive. And then his final decision to leave his other existing family behind, to leave his father, whom he probably doesn't like anymore, because he thinks he betrayed him by cheating, and betrayed his mother as well by cheating, which he did, to be fair, by cheating on her. while she was in pain, and he leaves a kid from the zombie, somehow a non-zombie kid from a zombie that they delivered, and he leaves that kid at the gate of the gated community that they're surviving in, the other people that are surviving the zombie apocalypse, and he stays in the infected mainland, and then the sort of the ending after the small part after that with the action scene, which I'm not gonna spoil because it's fucking insane. Yeah, this really is, I think, an instant classic and a masterpiece of the horror genre. Another film that is a masterpiece, again, I keep throwing around the word masterpiece, but Sinners really is a masterpiece. It is this poignant, profound story about how music and art in general, breaches the gap between, generations and between time. And it really is, a timeless, instant classic. And I do think this is the best horror movie of this year. I don't know if I've said this about other films on this list so far, but this definitely is one of the best films of the 21st century, I would say. At least one of the best horror movies of the 21st century. Because, horror movies tend to be, very fun and very entertaining, and they tend to be more entertainment rather than, a deep, sort of profound thing. But this movie really is art with capital A. This movie is cinema. Now that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Smash like, subscribe. Subscribe to my Instagram and Letterboxd to see what I'm watching and what I'm up to other than this YouTube channel. Links in the description. Also, watch my short film that came out recently. We put a lot of effort into that film, and I would really like y'all to watch it. It's very fun. See you next time when we discuss the dangers of exorcism cinema. Thanks for watching. Bye.